Hey, what's up? I'm gonna be working on this 2000 V6 Honda Accord because the transmission, when you're first turning on the car, it has some hard shifting and it slips a little bit, but after the car warms up and obviously the fluid warms up and it goes through the transmission, it starts shifting and it doesn't slip or anything. It works like there's nothing wrong with it. So I'm gonna do a fluid change in the transmission and see if that helps, because typically when you have hard shifting like that or slippage, it could be some dirty transmission fluid. So before I go any further or dig any deeper into this transmission, I'm gonna do that first, and hopefully that solves our problem. Otherwise, the next step I'm gonna do is take the fluid out, try replacing the shift solenoids, then replacing the fluid again, and see if that continues to fix it. Because if none of those two fixes the problem, then the issue for that transmission goes even deeper. So I'm just gonna start off today with replacing the transmission fluid, and while I'm at it, I'm just gonna do the spark plugs as well. I should have bought some oil when I was at the parts store and done that while I was at it too, but I'll do that in another video. So what I'm gonna do here first is what you should do before you do anything, is make sure the fill plug breaks open, because you don't want to drain your fluid and go to fill it and the plug to fill it back up doesn't work, because then you're gonna have to figure out a whole nother way to do it. So on this vehicle here, the fill plug is gonna be right down there next to that sensor. So we're gonna crack that open, and then the drain is obviously gonna be either on the bottom or on the side. I'll take a look at that here in a minute after I crack this open, but let me take care of this. As you can see in the time lapse, my snap-on drill didn't work. My heavy duty impact didn't work. It took my large, strong, half-inch drives with a 17, my big boy, and this pipe to put in here and force and break that thing loose. That's normal. They do that from factory. They torque it down that tight for whatever reason. It doesn't need to be that tight because the plug is on the top part of the transmission, so it's not like it's gonna leak or anything. So when I go to put that back on, I'm gonna give it a tight snug, but not exaggeratedly freaking tight. So now that I know that this is loose, I can go underneath and find that drain plug. This also comes with a gasket. Don't lose that. A washer gasket, a crush washer. I didn't think of getting a new one of these, but this one looks fine, so I'm going to reuse it. And again, it's on the top part of the transmission, so it's not that big of a deal. If it was on the side or whatever, then maybe replace it if the washer needs to get replaced, but it's on the top part of the transmission, so that's going to be fine. So Next, I'm gonna cut the video here and I'm gonna jack the car up, find that drain plug, and then I will show you where it's at. Okay, looking from the front of the vehicle, that's the passenger side tire in the front. Driver side, you go underneath the driver's side, look up towards the transmission, and there is your drain plug. It's not the 1/2 inch, but you just put the ratchet in there, give her a tug, loosen it up. I couldn't find a good bucket, so I'm using these cheese balls. Feel free to contact them and have them sponsor me. They are very delicious. So this fits underneath there. After I drain it a bit, I might actually cut this because I'm gonna want to put the vehicle back on the ground when I drain it, so that all the fluid that gets stuck in the back part of the transmission could roll forward towards the drain plug. So that's what I'm gonna end up doing. I'll probably cut this to like maybe like halfway down, but let's see what comes out first. I'll drain it like this first, wait for the fluid to just start dripping. I'll put the drain plug back on, and then I'll cut this a little higher than wherever the fluid is. So I decided to just cut it right now with my Milwaukee blade. Cut through that like it wasn't even there.
Like butter?
I was gonna say that, but everybody said it.
Like butter.
Alright, I'm gonna turn the flashlight on. I have to stop. It's not on for whatever reason. Let's see what we got going here. See if we can catch this and not lose this bolt. Looks kind of burnt-ish. Looks like a golden brown. Oh, now it doesn't look like no golden brown when it's all together. All right. Well, no chunks of metal came out. That's good. So, shards of metal on the magnet. Kinda not a good sign, but a little bit is normal. This fucking spiky haired bolt, I'm hoping it's not going to be an issue, because like I said before, when the car warmed up, the transmission shifted and worked perfectly fine. So I'm going to clean this off, and hopefully I don't have to pay for a whole new transmission. It's a lot of metal. I mean, I'm pretty sure it hasn't been taken off since the year 2000. So I'm gonna say it's normal-ish, but only time will tell. Because it's not like it's hard pieces of metal. It literally feels like little spiky hair. Oh my God, let's take that off.
It's like being in the museum.
Huh?
Like the museum.
What do you mean?
Because they have that magnet in the science museum.
Oh, the one that moves the liquid metal.
Yeah. Is it liquid metal? Or is it just a bunch of shards of metal, like magnets?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's probably like shards like that. I'll probably clean this bolt up on the outside with my wire wheel over there. My bench mounted wire wheel. Okay. I can hear it dripping over there, so once I'm done cleaning this up with the wire wheel, I'm gonna drop the car a little bit more and see how much more fluid comes out. This also has a gasket on it, which is right there, which this one you should replace, but again I wasn't thinking when I was at the store and I didn't buy a new one, so I'm going to reuse this one. Praise God, it doesn't leak. I had to grind off some of the chunks that was stuck up from trying to force this open. Some of the metal like pushed up, so I just grounded it flat, cleaned up the sides. After I put this on and I snug it on, I'm gonna get some touch-up paint and just put it around this bolt so it doesn't rust up again. Now I gotta clean it again with all the little metal shards that have been caused. It's raining outside. Excellent weather.
It's really raining outside.
Huh?
It's really raining outside.
What?
It's really raining outside.
Yeah. It's like every time I want to do something something happens outside. It's cold as hell, it's either raining or whatever. Now, let's lower this car a bit and let me see how much more fluid comes out. So I'm gonna loosen this up a little bit where I can drop it. Let's see. I'm gonna lower this up a little bit. Let's see how much more fluid comes out. Whoa. There we go, there's another stream going there. I'm slowly loosening this. There we go. It's as loose as I can get it. It's already touching. Well, you can see there's a little more of a stream going on here. Maybe I can lower it a little more. See it better. So I'll let that get to a drip and then I'll plug her up and refill her. There we go. Now we got some light. So as you can see, she's dripping. She came to a little drip. You know what? I'm just gonna plug her up and fill her up. Babe, can you give me the plug that's right there? The plug. Alright. Can you jack this up? Okay, that's good. Make sure you don't cross thread this here, because this is one bolt you don't want cross-threaded. Can you give me that rag? Right. So what I'm also going to do is after I replace the transmission fluid, I'm going to see how much fluid actually came out, because it can also be doing what it's doing because it could be low on fluid, and that doesn't look like it's even a gallon, which is 4 quarts. And I believe this transmission holds what, 5? So another thing, you don't want to over tighten this right here. That should be good and snug there. All right, and then I'm gonna pull this out, drop the car, and fill it up from the top. I don't know if you could tell on camera, but look how dirty that transmission fluid looks. I am praying that's what was the issue. But that fluid looks nasty. Look at that. Okay, the fluid I'm gonna put in is gonna be the Castro Transmax Import Multi-Vehicle, as you can read. Obviously it's for Honda and more. Boom, there you go. I got this long funnel that will reach, boom, perfectly fine. Because the fill bolt is. That's another thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna clean that fill bolt. So that's gonna reach. I got a gallon and a quart just in case I didn't have enough. I'm pretty sure going by what that looks like, I'll have enough. And now that I look at it side by side, this could very well be a gallon or more. So I'm pretty sure I have enough. And regardless of what you do not ever start a project or do any work out in the garage without your Contigo cup. Get yourself some coffee. You know what I mean? Contigo. Every video, if I could, I'm gonna say it. Sponsor your boy. I got like 165 million of these cups. Nice and hot. It would be cold right now if it wasn't for my Contigo cup. Unsponsored, unpaid. Sponsor your boy. You don't have to cut it. All right, I'm gonna get this plug out. Put that in. Boom, boom. Let's get this dipstick out. Boom, boom. And when you're refilling this, there's 2 dots there, a low or full and a low mark. And when you're filling your transmission with transmission fluid, when you're refilling it, or you're doing something like I'm doing, you want your transmission fluid to be hot or at operating temperature. So after I do this and I get it to the full mark, I'm gonna drive it around for a little while, let the fluid flow through the system, let it warm up a bit, and then I'm gonna check the dipstick and see where it's at, and then I'll fill it as needed. I cleaned the hell out of this dipstick, didn't I?
Squeaky.
You get a wrong reading on that sucker now, you don't belong underneath the hood. Okay, should I use this one first or that one? I'll use this one so that way I can just have it keep going. Well, save some space. I'm sure it's gonna use this whole shit. So that looked like it could have been like a reddish color when it was first.
Yeah.
When it was fresh.
What color is transmission fluid?
Yeah, it was supposed to be this color. See it?
Yeah.
And now it's like a maroonish brown.
Yeah, the sludge. The color sludge.
I hope it's because the transmission fluid was dirty while it was acting up. Because I could really use a break from shit breaking on these cars recently. Okay. We should have maybe dusted this off. Going by all that metal that was inside this transmission, I'm pretty sure a little bit of dust isn't gonna. Son of a bitch.
What was that, the stick?
That was the dipstick. As clean as I got it. Now I gotta clean it again.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, you heard that?
Mm-hmm.
That thing was thirsty. Worst case scenario, if I overfill it, I can just loosen the drain plug and take some out of it. Put it back into the container. Because right now I want to fill it to the full mark, then put it through its cycle, and then do it, rinse and repeat. Let's start checking this now. Right now, look at that. Right now it shows we're at the full mark. With just that little bit of transmission fluid.
Until you turn it on, then it'll go.
And it'll cycle through and it'll probably not even read on this at all. Because with all that transmission fluid that came out, for this being the mark it's at, it's gonna need a little more. Well, that's why you drain it when it's at operating temperature too, because the fluid's so thin. You'll get most of it out of the system. And since this is still thick and it hasn't been warmed up, it's gonna mark like it's full until you start driving it and getting it to operating temperature. So instead of driving it up and down the road and potentially causing more damage to it, or any damage to it, I'm gonna just reverse and forward a few times, let it run, get to operating temperature, and then I'll keep filling it as it needs. Yeah, it's perfectly on that full mark. Another thing I've noticed that I forgot to mention was that, one, make sure the car's on the ground when you're filling it so you can get a proper reading, unlike what I did. So right now, before it showed that it was right on the full dot. When I dropped the car, it was maybe a bit above the full dot, which is perfectly fine. Before I did the transmission fluid change, every time I would check the dipstick, the fluid would be way the hell up the dipstick, whether it was colder or not. So I have a feeling that this transmission was overfilled, which can also cause the symptoms that it has. So hopefully draining all that out, and not only it being disgusting, having fresh fluid in the proper amount is gonna have this transmission working properly. So I'm gonna go ahead and get in the car and do a couple back and forths and work that fluid through the system. I think I could get, yeah, I could leave the hood up. So before I do my back and forth, I'm gonna cycle through all the gears to help that fluid work itself through. You can feel it shift. You see, the car kind of moves whenever it shifts. You see that? Normally it shifts smooth, so you just gotta work it through. So I'm going to sit here and let it warm up a bit, get to operating temperature, and then I'll go ahead and go back on the camera and we'll check the fluid and see what level it's at now that it's, or after it gets warmed up. But even just now, I don't know if it was because it was still semi-warm from driving it earlier, or driving it before this video, but it was shifting smooth, like nothing was wrong with it. So, like I said, the true test is going to be later on tonight when I go to work. Because normally I warm the car up before I leave, but tonight I won't warm it up. I'll leave it cold, and then I'll start it up, and then I'll drive off and see if it does the same thing it was doing before when it was cold. But I'm going to let it warm up, and then we'll see what the level is at. So, I don't know if you'll hear me because of the fans, but it's at operating temperature-ish. The only reason it isn't getting fully to operating temperature is because I have the fans rigged to turn on all the time whenever you turn the car on or turn the key. And that's due to either a bad thermostat or the water temperature sensor. So in one of the future videos I'm gonna make a video of replacing both of those, but for now it's as hot as it's gonna get. So I'm gonna check the level of fluid. So I'm gonna wait maybe like 30 seconds to a minute before I check the check the level, and then we'll see what it's at. So it's been a minute, as you can see. Let's see where it's at. Normally when I would do this and I would check it, the fluid level would be way the hell up here, which is weird because there's another dot up there too. But let's see where it's at. Just above the fill dot, or the full dot, and that's pretty much where it was at before. So I'm gonna check a couple forms real quick and make sure that's where it's supposed to be and not way the hell up here. and then I'll advise you right now. So I did a little research, and apparently we're good at that. The bottom second dot, the top dot is the full dot. When you're right on top of that dot, you're good, you're money. Mine is a little over. The fluid also is still not completely warmed up. The fluid is also not completely warmed up, so it's still going to be a little thick. So I'm going to drive it up and down the road for a few miles, and heat up that transmission fluid, and then we could check it once more when we get back, and hopefully it's still above the dot by a little bit. So let's see how it's gonna run good, because it always runs good when it's warmed up. But we'll see how it is when we get back. So we drove it around for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's been already minutes past. So let's check this dipstick. Hopefully all the transmission fluid is warmed up. Let's turn this off and see where she's at. Good. So it's about, I don't know if you can see it, but it's like right about there. Which is fine. It's not gonna affect the transmission. You can be up to a quart, which is a lot, up to a quart over the fill mark. Not recommended, but if you add a little bit too much, it's fine. It's not gonna damage it. So but that right there is not even a quart worth of fluid in it, so it's fine where it's at. It's not over full. Normally I would check it, it would be way the hell up here, which as you can see how much came out and how much I added. I didn't even add that full gallon. We're gonna go look right now and see how much was added and how much was taken out, and see the difference of how much it overfilled it was. So we're gonna cut to inside the garage, so I can turn this around, and I'm gonna replace these spark plugs real quick. Recording. Heads up. So let me make sure this bolt up top is tightened, the fill bolt, before I call this transmission done for now.
Check how much fluid you used.
Yeah, I'm about to do that. Give it a little snuggy snug. That's good. Remind me to, I cleaned off the top bolt too. I wire wheeled the top bolt. Knocked all that rust off. Remind me to put some touch-up paint on it so it doesn't rust again. Or at least on the bottom one. The top one not so much, but the bottom is, because it gets exposed more to the elements. Okay, so I only added that's at about a quart. Right there, that's at just about a quart, which means I only added 3 quarts of oil. Does that look like it's
transmission fluid?
Or transmission oil. Does that look like it's 3 quarts? That looks hell of a lot more than 3 quarts to me. So, how I'm gonna measure this, you might ask? Empty oil container right here. All right, completely empty. So
there's a funnel right there.
can you grab that? Another good thing about using this, you can bend it into, you know what I mean? Cheese balls. Into multi-purpose packaging. Look at that. I bet you this fills this whole freaking gallon. Watch me look stupid and it be actually 3 quarts. Apparently I don't know what 3 quarts look like. It looks like it's about to be, it looks like it's about to be 3 quarts.
Is it?
It's at 3.5 quarts. So it was a half a quart overfilled.
That's so bad.
As you can see, dirty as hell. Let this drain here for a little bit.
Go gadget.
What is this he's doing, you say?
Go gadget.
Putting this container into a multi-use purpose. What? Cheese balls? She did what with your container? Multi-purpose catch. Alright, let's do these spark plugs. Where do I put these spark plugs in? We've got the V power for the V motor. Of course, it's going to use Allen keys for those. But first, we're going to have to
take that as a sign and go in the house.
Do these spark plugs first. That's sounded crazy. Take these plastic off real quick. I don't think we're going to take this one off. So, I need an Allen. Let's see if it's the first one I grab. Oh, it is. It's a little crusty here, but it is. So they all should be loose enough to where I can just use this thing by hand. So I like to do these one by one, even though it's not that. It's going to be pretty hard to mix up that wiring. Go ahead and do these one by one. Right in here. normal smell. What are these? NGKRs. Okay. I'm gonna put some. I think I was the one that put these in this water before. Ha ha ha. Okay. These are also NGKR.
Pretend this is like right here.
In case you're wondering, that's the part number. What I like to do is do a good 90 degree, 90 degree, and then 45. That should be snug enough. Hey. Give me back my socket. Alright, that's good. We'll throw one of the bolts in there to let us know that we already did this one. And don't go doing it again. Looks like this coil was replaced brand new. Yep, that's a new ass coil right there. Now, our spark plugs are in. Coffee's ingested. Put those plastics back on.
You tighten the back?
What?
You tighten the ones in the back already?
These spark plugs aren't too bad. These can get cleaned up and reused, so I'll just keep these on the side for design. Tight. Oh, I need the paint. So I can't find my black touch-up tape, my new little touch-up pen, so I have to go with white. But it's better than nothing. So I'm gonna do the one out here first. Yeah. We got 44 minutes put in. I have a feeling this is still gonna end up getting a bit of rust on it, but Better than nothing. This one I can get a little better. It's gonna look all kinds of crazy. This car's not going for any kind of car shows, people. This is just to help prevent any future rust and make our lives easier. That's it. Good enough for me. You'll never lose that fill and drain plug again. So, changed out the fluid, cleaned up those drain plugs, changed out the spark plugs. Next I want to do is oil change. Obviously replace the oil filter, and hopefully motor and drivability wise this car is going to be good. Then we could start working on the rust that's on the body and get this car at least presentable. You know, we're driving chilling down the street and not have to worry about rust eating up the whole car as we drive. Let's start it up and make sure I put them spark plugs in correctly. The vehicle runs and rolls. We're good to go. Now, before I close off this video, I'm gonna close it off with when I'm on my way to work and I'm driving this car when it's cold to see how the transmission operates. So, until tonight. So now is the moment of truth, and it's time to go to work. Car is cold. Let's test out this new transmission fluid. Has some rough shifting, but a bit better than it was before. So next step I'm gonna have to do is switch out some of those solenoids and see if that's gonna take care of the problem on this car. So there you have it. Change of fluid did help a bit. Maybe it just needs to go through a few cycles. I'll let it go through a few cycles. Let the fluid mix up with the old fluid, and maybe I'll go ahead and do another transmission fluid change and see if that helps. If it does help, then I'll go ahead and make another video on it and let you guys know that it helped. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and do the video for those shift solenoids. Alright, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Why so serious?
You gonna fix the car?